The RAB was on the ground at NAB Show 2026 in Las Vegas. The convention brought together nearly 60,000 attendees, including over 1,100 exhibitors, alongside high-profile keynote speakers and forward-looking sessions spanning broadcasting, media, advertising, and entertainment. The conversation throughout the week for radio was clear. The medium continues to evolve. The new opportunities and a shared commitment to moving forward with one voice. We are excited to share the latest Radio on Main Street podcast series, featuring conversations with leading voices across the industry. Explore perspectives on advertising and sales, digital, innovation, AI, storytelling, content creation, community service, and philanthropy. And you will hear firsthand the passion that is driving their work, along with their outlook on what's ahead for radio.
All right, so I'm with Jon Latzer from Salem Media. And Jon, I've been such a huge fan of your work for a very, very long time. How long have you been with Salem Media?
I've been with Salem coming up on 7 years now.
Okay, well, take me back. Let's start with just a little bit about you. Tell me about your start in broadcasting and then what got you to where you are today.
Sure. Well, I got into broadcasting right out of college, like a lot of us did.
Okay.
Did
you do it like a college radio station? Were you that kind of a radio geek?
I will tell you straight up, I wanted to be on the air.
Okay.
And I interviewed for a news job, and they gave it to me, and I wrote the news,
okay.
And the red light went on, and I froze. My mouth went dry, and the guy behind the glass was going like this.
Go.
That was the end of my on-air career. So I got into sales.
Okay, sales, all right.
Yeah.
Good choice.
So I was in broadcasting sales on the local side, local sales, local management. Then I went into national sales with CATS, national sales management. Then went back to the local side and built out my career running a radio station in Philadelphia as a GSM.
Okay. I know that probably a lot of people that are familiar with the podcasts and webinars that we do are familiar with your career and what you do for Salem, but for those that aren't, tell me a little bit about your current role at Salem.
Yes, so I joined Salem 7 years ago in order to help build their digital revenue streams. Salem Surround was built by Jamie Cohen a year before I got there, and I came in to really build out revenue.
Okay.
We've taken that pretty far, done a really good job, I think, helping our local sales staffs across the country be able to work with their advertisers and help build value propositions by selling digital media.
Okay. And one of the things that I know about you is that a big part of your work at Salem is helping develop the best practices that drive sales at the local level for Salem sellers.
Yeah, that's right. It's really important that when you work in a company like ours, or any company for that matter, that you have processes and systems and an operation that builds consistency. So part of my role is to help in that process from a revenue side. So what are the products we're selling? What are the costs of those products? How do we go to market? What collateral do we use? What is going to be the training that we put into our sales staffs in order to be able to help our clients?
Okay. So as you know, my role at RAB is digital and technology. So one of my questions for you is, how is AI changing the work that you do with your local sales teams?
It's really interesting, Dave, because a lot of what we're doing today is teaching how to use AI properly to be able to go from prospecting to proper CNA questioning to proposal development to helping us close business, and then instituting that business and optimizing that business and then renewing that business. So it's the entire sales cycle that we're using various forms of AI to be able to enhance the process.
So tell me more about that. So
Sure.
let's kind of walk through it, right? So at each step of that process, there's an AI component
Yes.
that can drive it forward. Is it an efficiency component? Is it a knowledge component? Is it a mixture of both? How are you using it?
Well, as you know, AI is a tool that you have to prompt.
Right.
It doesn't do anything by itself.
No.
It doesn't wake you up in the morning and say, time for to go to work. AI is, we start with AI from a prospecting standpoint. So for example, we can ask it, give me the top 20 plumbers in my market and give me their marketing experiences, what they're currently buying, who the people are at the company that are making marketing decisions, give me their phone number, give me their email address. And so we can develop out a prospect list through the use of AI really efficiently. Then we can start doing research into each one of those prospects, and we use outside sources from the research standpoint. RAB is a piece of that, and then there are others. So then we take that research, we dump that into AI, we put the URL of the client site into that, and then we prompt it by asking it a series of questions to understand how we can develop out a relationship with this client based on the tools that we have. So we can also put our URL in, here's the product list that we have. There's a variety of things that we do in order to be able to get to the point where we can start to do a CNA with a client even before we call for a meeting. So the goal is to identify the marketing challenges that a prospect has, then be able to get a VBR, then call a client, then use that VBR to get the meeting, then develop out the CNA using AI. Here are all the questions that we need to get answered during our CNA meeting with the client. We get all of those answers, we take those answers, we come back, we upload those answers into an AI. We then have them linked to Salem Surround to say, okay, what are the tactics that we can use based on the challenges that we discovered in the CNA?
Build a media
Our media plan that way.
Right, okay. So let's look at this from two angles, okay? So first of all, from the account executive angle, what kind of reception does that workflow get?
From the account executive angle, it's a teaching process. So for a lot of people that have been in the broadcast industry for a lot of years, they prospect at a certain cadence that works for them, and they like to do what they like to do. It's getting harder and harder, and I think people are realizing that now. So the tools that we have, especially around AI, allow us to be able to get more in depth.
Right.
And now we find that salespeople, even very experienced salespeople, are utilizing AI tools and able to make their prospecting more effective, make their CNA questions more effective, make their proposals more accurate to fit the need of that particular client. So more and more people are starting to get into this.
And is it landing well with the client? So you go through that process and you're coming to the client. Do you find that media plan is more on target?
Let me give you a quick little story around that.
Love it.
I'm very proud of the fact that my daughter has joined Salem in a sales capacity.
Okay.
And she was so excited, she called me the other day to tell me that she got a meeting with a floor and tile, granite kitchen cabinet guy, okay? And she got through because she spoke to the gatekeeper first, and the gatekeeper asked her what her business was, and she said, I'm calling, and she mentioned the specific reason based on the research she did on the client using AI tools and found a couple of marketing holes, and she mentioned that. And apparently that struck a chord because the gatekeeper put her right to the owner at that point. The owner picked up the phone and said, look, I got to tell you something. I never take calls from media companies. I never take calls from other vendors like you, but you apparently impressed my secretary enough for me to be able to do this.
Who never lets anybody
anybody in. So I think that's a good example of when you use an AI tool to find out what a potential need is, you then have a better entry point into a conversation.
Yeah. And imagine using a VBR.
using a VBR.
Think of it.
Who thought of that?
Yeah. So I've done a couple of podcasts over the course of the NAB show, and one of the questions I've asked, it dovetails really nicely with this conversation. I mean, you see what's going on in the industry. What do you think other broadcasters are getting right in their use of AI today?
You know, that's a really good question. I think if we were looking at this from a perspective of time and distance, we are at the very beginning of this race. I think all of us are at that stage. I think what we're trying to do is develop out our relationships with prospects using the tools that we have, and I'm sure other broadcasters are doing the same thing. But I don't think anybody has landed the sweet spot. I'm not sure there is a sweet spot. I think a lot of this comes down to the training that a company will do for their salespeople in this particular area, which requires sales leadership to really understand the tools as well. And that's one of the gaps that I think exists. It's closing here at Salem, but I think it exists at other companies where my daughter, for example, grew up in the internet generation. I didn't, so she's coming at this from a much different perspective. It's very natural for her. She's picked it up right away. Whereas I had to really learn it. I had to pay a lot of time, spend a lot of time paying attention to that.
Right.
So sales leaders in companies today, if they put the time in and then train their sales teams accordingly, they will be able to move that time frame up much faster.
As a follow-up to that, where is there room for improvement in the industry?
I think just the general acceptance that radio is not in a bubble, that we exist in a greater ecosystem of media choices today. You know, clients today can build their own media plans. Clients today can purchase media without a sales rep today. And they do it all the time with Google, and they do it all the time with Facebook, which is why those companies make the money that they make. I think the broadcast industry will advance faster if we start to adopt those kinds of principles by putting ourselves out there and allowing for customers to be able to purchase us more effectively.
I'm glad you brought that up, because actually I wanted to go there next. We've talked about broadcasters' use of AI and how our salespeople are using it, and we're using it to further our relationships and the service we can give to our clients. And yet our clients are also using it to build media plans, to understand the challenges they're having in the market, and to build solutions for themselves. So, you work with a lot of local salespeople. Is that really prevalent? I mean, are we to the point now where it's really common for a client to go to ChatGPT or Gemini and say, build me a marketing plan?
So I think clients and prospects are not too dissimilar than broadcast salespeople. I think everybody is at the beginning stages of this, and I think people are dipping their foot in and trying it. I think clients are really searching for the right answers, and I think one of the reasons they're doing a lot with AI today is because they haven't found salespeople to be marketing people. They find salespeople to be salespeople.
Right.
And the real growth that our industry can have is once a salesperson stops selling their tactics and start understanding clients' businesses more effectively. And when I say client businesses more effectively, what I'm really referring to is understanding their math. I think clients use AI to get answers that sellers can provide them if the sellers approach it in the same way that their clients are approaching it.
So, in my experience with the LLMs, we talked about prompting a moment ago. So much of the success you have in communicating with an AI is in the question you ask, of course, right? The simple inclusion of the word local can make an enormous difference in the results you get from the AI in terms of what it might recommend. Is there a role, so kind of thinking about our account executives as being that sustaining resource you just described, Is there a role for our account executives in helping our clients learn how to prompt AI better?
I think there is, but back up a step. For the salesperson to be able to help a client, they first have to help themselves and learn the techniques and the nuances that an LLM provides.
Sure.
Okay, so it's a great step, but to me it's the second step, not the first step. Let's get good at understanding how to use prompts effectively. Let's get good at being able to build effective media plans based on research that exists and be able to use that information effectively to justify what we are selling right now. Once we understand all of that and it becomes more intuitive, then we can take that step to say to clients, look, I've done this over here. Here's how I use it. I've been working on ways to help you help yourself in that. I think that would be an enormous step for us, and I think it would be a really good and important step to take.
Okay. So, final question, John. What's next? So, I mean, we're living through a time of a lot of disruption. It's a little hard to have a crystal ball at this point, but
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious, from where you sit, what do you see coming down the road as we move through 26 and into 27?
The successful people today, whether it be salespeople on the street, their managers in the office, their senior leadership, I think the next step for everything is being not afraid of the tools that are available, but fully adopting those tools. And it's okay to not know where we're going with all this. We can create this ourselves. And I think the more we spend time learning these tools that can help others, and we benefit somebody else, not just ourselves with that, we will win. So the next step is to take yourself out of yourself and put yourself in their shoes, learn their business, and be able to provide solutions for them the way we know based on the research we're doing.
Fantastic. John, thank you so much. I know it's a busy show. Taking some time out to sit down with us is a big commitment. Thank you.
My
I
pleasure.
really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Enjoy the rest of the show.